Right now, most people believe strength is a matter of muscle, money, or influence. They believe if they could lift more, earn more, or control more people, they would finally be powerful. But they are wrong. Completely wrong. These things, muscle, wealth, influence, they are nothing more than decorations. They are ornaments that look impressive on the outside but collapse the moment real pressure is applied. True strength is invisible. You cannot see it flexed in the mirror, you cannot deposit it into a bank, and you cannot win it through applause. Real strength is something deeper, something sharper. It is the unshakable will that makes kings unafraid to lose everything. It is the cold resolve that allows a man to walk through fire without blinking. Think about this. The world we live in tests you every single day. The bills you cannot pay. The betrayal you never expected. The fear that keeps you awake at night. Each of these is a trial, and the world is watching, waiting to see where you break. And most people do break. Ordinary men run. They hide. They make excuses. They crumble under the weight of challenges. But extraordinary men, they do the opposite. They don't wait for the storm to pass. They walk into the storm deliberately because they know it will sharpen them. Niccolo Machiavelli, the ruthless political thinker, wrote centuries ago that fortune belongs only to those who are disciplined, ruthless, and unafraid of sacrifice. And here's the part most people miss. Fortune doesn't favor the kind. It doesn't reward the optimistic. It doesn't hand success to those who sit patiently hoping life will eventually be fair. Fortune bends to those who bend themselves first. This is not about motivation. This is not about being liked, admired, or celebrated. This is about forging a will so unyielding that nothing, not pain, not fear, not failure, can bend it. If you came here looking for comfort, leave now. If you came here hoping for soft encouragement, you will not find it. But if you want to become untouchable, if you want to become inhumanly strong, then keep listening. Because the first step to inhuman strength is destroying the illusion that life will ever go easy on you. The world is not fair. It has never been fair. It will never be fair. It does not care if you are talented, kind, generous, or full of potential. The world is sharpening its knives against you even as we speak. And if you are hiding in comfort, if you believe that surrounding yourself with pleasures and distractions will keep you safe, then you are already losing. Comfort rots the core. It makes you soft, fragile, and predictable. It makes you weak before you even realize it. Look at the people around you. They cling to routines like a child clings to a blanket. They wake up seeking warmth, pleasure, distraction. They avoid discomfort at all costs, and that's why they break so easily. One setback, they collapse. One betrayal, they shatter. One moment of real pressure, and they fold. Why? Because they never trained themselves to suffer on purpose. They spent their lives chasing comfort when they should have been forging themselves in discomfort. Machiavelli warned rulers never to grow soft inside their own walls. A prince who shields himself from hardship is already setting himself up for failure. He becomes weak, predictable, and easy to overthrow. And if a ruler can lose his crown by hiding from difficulty, then you can lose your own power, your own destiny, in exactly the same way. The truth is simple. If you want to be unbreakable, you must choose your suffering before life chooses it for you. You must cut away the luxuries that dull your edge. You must wake earlier than you want, work longer than you think you can endure. You must deliberately deny yourself the little comforts that secretly soften you. Because here's the law: when you control your pain, it cannot be used against you. Think of a blade being forged. The metal is heated, beaten, drowned, and struck again and again until it becomes something deadly. If you were that blade, how many strikes would you survive before you cracked? Every hardship you face voluntarily is another strike of the hammer, another blast of the fire, another step toward becoming unshatterable. So do not wait for life to test you on its own terms. Test yourself first. Seek out the struggle deliberately, because when you own your pain, you also own your power. And when the world finally does try to crush you, it will discover you are already tempered like steel. This is the difference between the weak and the strong. Weak men hope life will spare them. Strong men sharpen themselves until nothing can break them. Weak men avoid suffering. Strong men choose it before it chooses them. Weak men pray for rescue. Strong men prepare for war. If you want to be feared, respected, untouchable, then stop clinging to comfort. Destroy the illusions you've been sold about fairness and safety. Begin living in reality. The world is cruel, and it will test you without mercy. But if you test yourself first, if you walk into the fire willingly, then you will emerge as something different, something the world cannot break. Because true strength is not about muscle, not about money, not about influence. True strength is the will that refuses to bend, no matter how hard the storm strikes. This is your first step toward becoming more than human. This is where the transformation begins. Most people spend their lives as prisoners inside their own heads. They are ruled by impulses they do not even recognize. They speak before they think. They react before they calculate. They reveal themselves without meaning to. Their emotions sit on the surface, exposed for everyone to see and manipulate. Think about it. The average man's mind is like an open field. Anyone can walk in and plant seeds of fear, doubt, temptation, or desire. And just like that, he is controlled. Someone whispers a rumor and he believes it. Someone threatens him and he retreats. Someone dangles a shiny temptation and he grabs it without hesitation. This is not strength. This is slavery, and it is the condition of most men. But if you want to become inhumanly strong, you must escape this prison. You must build your mind into a fortress, not a cottage, not a tent, a fortress. Stone walls, iron gates, guarded watchtowers, a place no enemy can enter without being inspected. No manipulator can exploit without resistance. Machiavelli admired leaders who could stand in chaos and remain unmoved, leaders whose minds were disciplined enough to treat every thought as a soldier under command. Rage was chained until it was time to strike. Compassion was stored away until it served a purpose. Even joy was rationed, because too much joy makes a man careless. That is the standard. That is what it means to master your mind. The first step toward this fortress is awareness. Most people drift through life in a fog, reacting instinctively without ever noticing what drives them. You must break that cycle. You must begin to pause. That pause, that single moment where you refuse to react instantly, is the beginning of control. Picture it like this. Your mind is a gate. Behind it lies your judgment, your power, your decisions. Every thought, every impulse, every emotion is a traveler arriving at that gate. Most people open the gate instantly. Fear knocks, they let it in. Anger knocks, they open wide. Desire knocks, they rush to greet it. And soon their fortress is overrun with intruders. But you must post guards at the entrance. Inspect every thought before it enters. Ask, is this fear real or just noise? Does this desire serve me or does it enslave me? Will this anger give me leverage or will it expose me? If the thought does not pass inspection, turn it away. Let it die outside your gates. At first, this will feel unnatural. Your instincts will demand you react quickly, but with practice, the pause becomes second nature, and with time, you will discover something extraordinary. People will notice. They will sense a difference about you. While others panic, you remain calm. While others flinch, you stand still. While others celebrate too loudly, you keep your composure, and this calm will unsettle them. They will wonder, what is he thinking? What is he planning? Why doesn't he react like everyone else? And in that silence, in that uncertainty, fear begins to grow. Because here's a truth Machiavelli understood well. Fear grows fastest in the dark. When people cannot read you, they begin to imagine the worst, and that imagination becomes part of your power. But let's be clear. This calm is not about appearing cold for the sake of coldness. It is not about being robotic. It is about freedom. When your decisions are no longer driven by emotion, you are free from the chains that control ordinary men. You cannot be baited. You cannot be rushed. You cannot be manipulated. Enemies will try to discover what hurts you. They will look for your weaknesses. But if you've sealed your gates, they will find nothing to grab onto. And that is terrifying. How do you build this fortress? Slowly, brick by brick. In moments of stress, slow yourself down instead of speeding up. In moments of pleasure, remind yourself it is temporary, not a throne to sit on. In moments of fear, remember that fear is only information. It is not a master. Over time, the walls grow higher, the gates grow stronger, the watchmen become sharper, and your mind transforms from an open field into a citadel. The man who commands his mind commands his fate. He does not live at the mercy of moods, events, or other people's words. While others are tossed around like leaves in the wind, he walks straight through the storm without bowing his head. And that is strength greater than muscle, greater than money, greater than influence, because it cannot be taken away. When your mind becomes a fortress, no whisper can sway you, no insult can unbalance you, no temptation can pull you off course. You act when you choose to act. You strike when you decide to strike. And the world will realize you are no ordinary man. You are something far more dangerous. This is why Machiavelli praised rulers who could mask their thoughts, rulers who could conceal their emotions, rulers who could rule their minds with the same iron grip they ruled their states. Because when the mind is conquered, the world can be conquered. So begin now. Guard your thoughts, build your walls, seal your gates. And understand this truth. The man who controls his mind cannot be broken, because no one else can enter. This is the second step toward becoming inhumanly strong. This is the forging of the mental fortress. The mind is the general, but the body is the army. And here's the harsh truth. Most men live like slaves inside their own bodies. Their habits betray them. Their impulses expose them. Their lack of discipline shouts louder than their words. Look around. A man who cannot resist gluttony. His stomach speaks before he does. A man who cannot resist lust. His eyes reveal weakness before his mouth utters a word. A man who cannot rise early, who cannot endure hardship, whose body collapses at the smallest discomfort. He has no power. How can you be feared? How can you command when your own body does not obey you? Machiavelli understood this truth. A leader who cannot command himself cannot command others. He may wear a crown, but his appetites rule him. He may sit on a throne, but his vices pull the strings. To become inhumanly strong, you must reverse this order. The body must serve you. It must become a weapon you wield, not a cage that limits you. The first transformation is discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is ownership. It is you standing over yourself and saying, "You will rise when I command. You will endure what I demand. You will not betray me with weakness." Discipline begins with the smallest acts. Waking before you want to. Training when you feel tired. Saying no when desire demands yes. Every act of discipline is a signal. The master is here, and the servant will obey. And make no mistake, the world can read this. A man who commands his body carries himself differently. His movements are deliberate, his posture unyielding, his presence heavy. People notice it instinctively. They see a man who does not fidget, who does not slouch, who does not waste energy in nervous habits. They see control, and control radiates power. The second transformation is resilience. Soft men break quickly. Hard men bend and return. Inhumanly strong men become like iron. They absorb pressure without shattering. Resilience is forged in discomfort. Cold showers, long fasts, grueling physical training. Moments where your muscles scream and your lungs burn, and your mind whispers, "Stop." But you do not stop. You endure. You teach your body a lesson. Pain is not the master. I am. Hunger is not the master. I am. Fatigue is not the master. I am. Every moment of endurance strengthens the chain between your mind and body. And soon, when others collapse, you continue. When others surrender, you advance. When others whine, you remain silent. This silence, this stillness under pain, terrifies people. Why? Because it shows them something they do not have. It shows them you are not playing by the same rules. They avoid suffering. You embrace it. They crumble. You sharpen. The third transformation is presence. Machiavelli often advised rulers to use appearance as much as action. Your body is the first language you speak before words. If your body radiates weakness, no sentence you say can erase it. Presence is about how you stand, how you move, how you look. Do not drag your feet. Do not let your gaze dart like prey. Do not fold your shoulders inward. Stand as though the ground belongs to you, as though the air bends around you. This does not require arrogance. It requires certainty. When you walk into a room, you should not need to announce yourself. Your body should do it for you. A slow, steady movement. A gaze that does not rush. A stillness that makes others restless. This is presence. But presence without control is dangerous. Too much aggression makes you predictable. Too much softness makes you forgettable. The balance is to move like a predator. Calm, watchful, patient, yet unmistakably dangerous. Think of a lion. The lion does not roar at every passing bird. It saves its energy for decisive strikes. This is how your body should operate. Efficient, restrained, powerful only when needed. And here lies the greatest secret. When the body is mastered, it becomes a signal to the world that you are unbreakable. People will test you. They will push, provoke, tempt. But when your body does not betray you, when your habits do not expose weakness, when your endurance outlasts their attacks, they realize they are standing before someone different, someone they cannot move, someone dangerous. To command your body is not about vanity. It is not about building muscle for display or starving yourself for applause. It is about ownership, total ownership. Because every indulgence you cannot resist, every weakness you cannot master, is an enemy inside your fortress. So train relentlessly, but not for sport, for sovereignty. Eat deliberately, but not for pleasure, for control. Rest intentionally, but not for laziness, for power. Understand this. The man who cannot rule his own body will never rule beyond it. But the man who does, his body becomes not just flesh and bone, but steel and fire, a weapon. This is the third step toward becoming inhumanly strong, mastering the flesh, bending it to your command and transforming your body from a cage into a weapon. A man may command his mind, a man may command his body, but if he does not command his emotions, he will be destroyed. Because emotions are the hidden strings by which others pull you. The flatterer pulls on your pride. The manipulator tugs at your compassion. The rival provokes your anger. The seducer exploits your desire. And before you know it, you are dancing to music you did not choose. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He wrote that a prince should appear compassionate, merciful, humane, but he should never be ruled by these things. Why? Because mercy, unchecked, becomes weakness. Compassion, unguarded, becomes a leash. Love, uncontrolled, becomes a prison. This is why emotional detachment is not cruelty. It is survival. The world will not hesitate to use your feelings against you, and every tear, every burst of rage, every desperate longing is a weapon handed to your enemies. Think about it. How often do men betray themselves because of emotion? They shout in anger, revealing their plans. They beg in love, surrendering their dignity. They sulk in envy, exposing their insecurity. They despair in loss, showing everyone where to strike. Emotion makes a man transparent, predictable, easy to read, easy to control. But when you master detachment, when you silence the noise inside, you become unreadable. And the unreadable man is untouchable. Detachment begins with one principle. Never let your inner world spill uncontrolled into the outer world. Feelings are not commands. Feelings are signals, nothing more. Anger signals that someone disrespected you. Fear signals danger. Desire signals opportunity. But you decide whether to act, how to act, and if to act at all. This pause, this filter, is the essence of power. Your rival insults you. He expects rage. Instead, you stare calmly. He grows uneasy. Your lover tests you with silence. She expects begging. Instead, you remain unmoved. She panics. Your enemy threatens you. He expects fear. Instead, you smile faintly. He begins to doubt himself. Do you see the pattern? Detachment does not mean you feel nothing. It means you reveal nothing. You hold your cards close while others throw theirs on the table in a fit of emotion. This is not heartlessness. It is calculation. The cold mask is not the absence of humanity. It is the presence of strategy. But detachment requires practice. You must put yourself in situations where emotion normally controls you, and you must train the opposite response. Someone shouts, you do not shout back. Someone flirts, you do not melt. Someone pleads, you do not cave. Instead, you breathe, pause, and observe. At first, people will be confused. They will think you are indifferent. They will accuse you of coldness. But eventually, they will realize something far deeper. You cannot be manipulated. And here lies the dangerous truth. Most of the world runs on manipulation. Politicians manipulate with fear. Lovers manipulate with affection. Leaders manipulate with guilt. If you are immune to these tactics, you step outside the game. While others are pulled like puppets, you remain the puppeteer. But there is an even greater strength hidden in detachment. Freedom. When you no longer fear losing affection, you cannot be blackmailed by love. When you no longer crave validation, you cannot be controlled by praise. When you no longer tremble at loss, you cannot be broken by threats. Imagine that level of independence. No one can bribe you with flattery. No one can enslave you with guilt. No one can shake you with insults. You become a wall, silent, solid, immovable. And this silence terrifies people. Why? Because when you do not react, they cannot predict you. When they cannot predict you, they cannot control you. And when they cannot control you, they fear you. Machiavelli knew that appearances mattered. He wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved if you must choose. And fear is born not from violence alone. It is born from mystery. A detached man is mysterious, and mystery breeds power. So practice detachment like a discipline. Withhold your reactions, mask your feelings. Choose when and how to reveal what lies inside. And most importantly, never allow anyone to know what breaks you, because once they know, they will press that weakness until you collapse. But if you give them nothing, no reaction, no weakness, no visible wound, they cannot touch you. This is why detachment is the strongest armor you will ever wear. Stronger than steel, stronger than walls, stronger than armies. Because armies can be defeated, walls can be broken, steel can be bent, but a man who does not reveal his heart cannot be conquered. This is the fourth step toward becoming inhumanly strong, the art of detachment, where emotion ceases to be your master and becomes your tool. Noise is the language of the weak. They talk too much, they explain too much, they reveal too much. Every word they speak gives away a piece of their mind, a piece of their strategy, a piece of their soul. But silence is a blade. Few understand it, fewer master it, and those who do terrify everyone around them. Machiavelli himself wrote that rulers should be careful with their words. He knew that speech is a weapon, but like any weapon, it cuts both ways. Speak too much, and you bleed yourself dry. Speak too soon, and you ruin your timing. Speak without thought, and you arm your enemies with your own words. That is why silence is power, because silence denies the enemy what they crave most: information. Think about interrogation. What breaks men under pressure is not pain. It is the urge to speak. The silence weighs on them like chains. The mind panics. I must say something. I must respond. I must explain. And the moment they speak, they lose. Now imagine being the man who never breaks the silence. The man who can sit in a room filled with accusations, filled with tension, filled with demands, and remain calm, unshaken, quiet. The silence itself becomes unbearable for others. They begin to fill it with their own words, their own admissions, their own weaknesses. This is the paradox. Silence makes others talk more. And the more they talk, the more they reveal. While you sit back, gathering intelligence, saying nothing. But silence is not only defense, it is offense. A single pause, a single refusal to answer, a single moment of stillness can strike harder than 1,000 shouted words. Picture this. An enemy insults you publicly, expecting a fiery response. You stare, then say nothing. The crowd shifts uneasily. The silence hangs heavier than any insult you could return. A rival demands an explanation, pressing for details. You give none. His frustration grows. His imagination invents 100 scenarios worse than the truth. A lover expects you to beg, to explain, to argue. Instead, you leave silence in the air. The silence becomes a mirror, reflecting her own fears and insecurities. Do you see? Silence does not mean weakness. Silence forces the other side to wrestle with themselves. And here's the deeper truth. Silence makes you unpredictable. People are not afraid of what they can see. They are afraid of what they cannot. When you speak constantly, people measure you. They calculate you. They know your rhythm, your triggers, your thoughts. But when you are silent, they guess. And when they guess, they fear. This is why the most dangerous predators in nature are silent hunters. The lion crouches in the tall grass. The serpent waits without sound. The wolf stalks in the shadows. They do not announce themselves. They strike only when it matters. And when they do, it is too late. You must train yourself in the same way. Do not answer every question. Do not react to every insult. Do not explain every decision. Speak less than you know. Reveal less than you feel. And when you do speak, let it be deliberate, sharp, and final. But understand this. Silence is not emptiness. it is presence. True silence is heavy. When you master it, your silence fills the room. People will glance at you, waiting, wondering, second-guessing themselves. They will project their fears onto you, and those fears will work in your favor. Machiavelli admired leaders who inspired fear without lifting a sword. Silence was one of their greatest tools, because silence does not provoke rebellion, it provokes uncertainty. And uncertainty is more powerful than brute force. But to wield silence, you must kill the urge to justify yourself. Weak men justify everything. They explain themselves to critics, to lovers, to strangers, to anyone who questions them. Strong men let their actions speak. Inhumanly strong men, they let their silence speak louder than action. Imagine walking through life with this kind of presence. You do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to argue. You do not need to defend. Your silence itself becomes proof. And those who doubt you, they will fill the silence with their own fear, their own respect, their own stories about you. That is how legends are born, not from endless talking, but from controlled silence. So practice silence like you would practice a weapon. Cut your words in half. Let pauses stretch longer. Withhold explanations. Use silence to observe. Use silence to unsettle. Use silence to dominate. This is the fifth step toward becoming inhumanly strong. The mastery of silence, the weapon that speaks louder than any shout, the shield that protects better than any wall, the blade that cuts without being seen. We have reached the end of this path. The mind, fortified. The body, commanded. The emotions, detached. The silence, weaponized. But there is one more transformation. One more ascent. It is not about muscle. It is not about clever words. It is not even about strategy. It is about becoming untouchable. What does that mean? It means you have stepped outside the reach of ordinary power. Ordinary men can be bribed with money. They can be broken with love. They can be bent with threats. They can be controlled with praise. But the untouchable man is beyond these leashes. He cannot be bought because his value is higher than gold. He cannot be seduced because his desires do not rule him. He cannot be intimidated because he has mastered fear. He cannot be destroyed because nothing inside him is exposed to destruction. The untouchable man is not numb. He is not a stone. He is something sharper, colder, and more deliberate. He is free. Freedom is the core of untouchability, not the shallow freedom of doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That is slavery, disguised as liberty. True freedom is control. Control of the self, control of your environment, control of how others interact with you. Machiavelli understood that rulers who depended too much on affection, on alliances, on fragile promises, were doomed. Why? Because dependence is weakness. The untouchable man depends on no one. He welcomes allies, but he does not cling to them. He accepts loyalty, but he does not beg for it. He enjoys pleasure, but he does not kneel before it. Dependence is the leash that keeps men crawling. Remove dependence, and you remove the leash. Now let us be clear. Becoming untouchable does not mean isolation. It does not mean cutting yourself from the world. It means engaging with the world on your terms. Friends, lovers, allies, enemies, they orbit you, but none of them penetrate the fortress. None of them sit at the controls of your mind. You remain the sole master. This level of strength changes how the world treats you. People who cannot read you begin to respect you. People who cannot shake you begin to fear you. People who cannot move you begin to admire you, even against their will. And here lies the paradox. The less you need people, the more they need you. The more you detach, the more they chase. The colder you remain, the hotter their obsession grows. The less you reveal, the more they project their fantasies onto you. This is how legends form. Not from being available to everyone, not from explaining yourself to everyone, but from remaining untouchable. But becoming untouchable is not a final step. It is a constant discipline. Every day, the world will test you. Temptation will knock, fear will whisper, pride will lure, weakness will beg to be let back in. Every day you must refuse. You must remind yourself, my mind is a fortress. My body is my servant. My emotions are my tools. My silence is my weapon. My freedom is my shield. And when you live this way long enough, you will notice something extraordinary. You are no longer like other men. Their struggles, their complaints, their endless search for validation, it will feel distant to you. Their chains will no longer bind you. Their fears will no longer infect you. You will move differently, speak differently, think differently, and people will feel it. They may not understand it, but they will sense it. This man is not like us. This man is untouchable, and that is the final form of strength. Not brute force, not loud dominance, not fragile arrogance, but quiet sovereignty. The sovereignty of a man who has mastered himself so completely that nothing outside himself can touch him. This is why Machiavelli's lessons endure, not because they teach cruelty for its own sake, but because they reveal the brutal truth. In a world built on manipulation, only the untouchable survive. So remember this: the goal is not to feel nothing, it is to be ruled by nothing. The goal is not to isolate, it is to stand free. The goal is not to dominate others, it is to ensure no one can ever dominate you. When you reach this point, you do not need to announce your power. You do not need to display it. You carry it silently, and the world adjusts around you. People step carefully, enemies hesitate, allies lean in, rivals retreat, because they see what you have become. A man who cannot be baited, a man who cannot be bribed, a man who cannot be broken, a man who is no longer a prisoner to the same chains that bind everyone else, a man who is untouchable. This is the sixth step. This is the final stage. This is the inhuman strength Machiavelli hinted at, the strength of the sovereign man. And once you taste it, you will never go back.